Yours
But
is.
this is based on your own worldview. It's not based on reality.
My
Your moral
worldview.
worldview is not based on reality whatsoever.
Listen. What do you mean?
Wait,
Preference?
what? Porn is not
It's
banned.
it's my
That's
preference.
reality.
Listen, it's my preference to follow Christian ethics. It's my preference to follow the
Yes, it
preferences of
is.
God. It's my preference to do all these things. Is any of that immoral?
Like, is it immoral that you have those
Yeah,
preferences?
even if they're
No.
wrong. Like, let's grant Christianity was not true. Let's just grant it for the sake of argument. It's totally untrue. It's totally fake. It's totally false. It never occurred. I just believe it because it's my preference. Is that in any way wrong?
To hold those standards? No.
Yeah.
I
Oh, okay,
believe in
great.
freedom of
Well,
expression,
then
freedom of speech.
if that's the
Unlike
case,
you,
if that's the case,
is that right?
then all that matters is that it's my preference. Christianity is true. It's my preference that porn be banned, and I'm at no more of an immoral position than you are. So you can't even say that me wanting to ban porn based specifically on just my own preference is in any way even bad.
I don't think I'm not a thought police. I'm not Christian.
Yeah, but
You're the ones that do thought policing.
but if I try to enact my thoughts onto you because it's my preference, why is that bad?
Wait, that's completely different. Are you talking about like state enforcing
Yeah, if I
violations
walk
of my
over to
human
you,
rights?
if I walk over
Well,
to
that's
you,
different than just holding an opinion.
why? That's really weird. If I walk, it's my preference though.
No, there's a difference between preferences and state enforcement, right?
That's all preferences.
It's
It's a
based on a
king's.
preference.
No, it's all preference. A king had prefers that you be fucking oppressed. Why is he wrong?
So
He just
is
holds your same standard.
what you consider morally good, is that based on God's preferences?
It's based
Or
on
is
my
it,
preferences for God's preferences.
oh, so something is morally good just because God commands it?
No, it's good because it's my preference that it's good.
Wait, so then God has nothing to do with it?
No, it's my preference that God's preferences be enforced.
So then I'm correct that something is morally good simply because God commands it.
No, it's morally good because it's my preference that everything God morally commands be enforced.
Okay, that's what I just said. And that means it's
That's not what
completely
you just said.
arbitrary and based on your own personal preference.
So is yours.
I agree. I'm the only
Okay,
one that
then
will
if
admit
that's
that,
then
though.
if that's the case, then if
I'm the
that's the
only one
case,
who's going to admit that.
hey, I'll just bite it. If that's the case, and we're just doing arbitrary shit, and we're just basing it on our own personal preferences, then if I get a whole army with machine guns to come in and say no more fucking porn, you can't actually say there's anything wrong with that, right?
No, I can, because now
Why?
we're talking about state enforcement of violating people's rights, which is completely different than just holding a thought in your
But it's my
mind.
preference, and I'm the ultimate arbiter of what is moral,
What
just like
what
you.
part are you not understanding between like thought policing and state enforcement?
Well, I don't. Well, here's what I don't understand. If I want to use force and I say that it's
Hmm.
moral because it's my preference, can you demonstrate how that's immoral?
If like if you're actually actively
Yeah,
using force, or if
yeah.
you're just thinking
If I
about it,
kick in your fucking door right now,
then
right?
yes,
Tell me
that's
how it's
bad
immoral. How?
because you are violating my personal
So
autonomy.
what? That's all your preference.
Yes. Wait,
Yeah.
what what
But my
part are
preference.
you
What
not
about my
getting?
preference?
I'm My moral framework is I'm concerned with
This was more like a sparring session, a warm up exercise for Andrew Wilson before he goes on to an actual real debate. He debates Diddley Donger, I believe her name is. Her name should have been Diddley Squat, because that's how much she actually knows. Let's see how this debate goes down.
Their adult explicit content, as I'm going to put it, should be banned. So I'm going to hand it over to Andrew to respond to some of what he just heard. But in the meantime, I'd ask you guys to smash the like button and prepare those super chats, because we are going to ask them at the end of the open discussion. Over to you, Andrew.
Yeah. So, Diddley, I'm not a big fan of Gish Gallops during a debate. I like to go down one line at a time until we can get it figured out. If we have consistency issues, we don't have consistency issues. Are you willing to do that?
yeah.
Okay,
Could we
great.
start with defining pornography?
Well, actually, I think we need to start by defining harm. What is that?
Um, Something that results in negative outcomes.
And how do we measure what a negative outcome is?
We can do that multiple ways. We
Give
can
me,
look,
okay, go ahead.
huh?
Sorry. Oh, go ahead.
So
Sorry.
we could look at happiness. We could look at how a society is functioning in terms of maybe economic success.
Yeah.
Um,
What way do you use?
What way do I use
to determine harm?
to determine harm?
Yes. You don't have to repeat the question. You just answer the question.
What do you mean? What way do I use to determine harm?
What metric would you use to determine harm?
Well, I would use multiple metrics, not just one.
Okay, so if somebody was really happy, for instance, about, I don't know, unaliving themselves, is that harm?
Is it harm for someone to be happy about killing themselves?
Yeah.
Well, they would be causing harm to themselves by killing themselves, yes.
Yeah, so we should not have that, right? Or we should.
People probably shouldn't kill themselves, yeah.
Okay, and that's because of this harm principle?
Yeah.
Okay. If you had two brothers who were twins, okay, and they wanted to have sex with each other, can you give me a single reason that would be harmful?
There could be potentially some kind of power dynamics at play that could be harmful.
They're twins.
Twins? Well, maybe not then.
So you wouldn't have any objection to incest, for instance, under this worldview?
Well, I have an objection just on the level of like, yeah, I think it's icky.
Well, but wait a second. They're really happy. And how does it affect you?
Yeah, I honestly don't really care. Could we get back onto the topic
we are.
of
We are back
defining
to the topic.
pornography?
I'm trying to figure out what your harm principle is. I'm not going to let you evade. So while I'm doing is trying to consistently.
I just said I don't care.
Yeah, I that's great. I don't care is not an argument, and it's not a response to one, and it's not even
No,
a
like
position.
I wouldn't see
Okay,
that
well,
as
I
like a
don't- I don't-
morally
Okay, you're
bad
right. I don't
thing.
care about the debate.
That was
I don't care.
my answer.
Okay, great. I don't care is not an answer. I'm asking you a question.
Well, no, it
Is
is because you're
immoral?
asking me if I
Is
find
it
it immoral. I'm saying I
immoral?
don't care.
Yeah. So is that no?
So I don't find it immoral.
So then the answer would be no, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So next time say no, and then I'll know that you actually mean no when you say that. Okay, so if somebody had a dead body in their backyard and they dug it up and had sex with it every day, and nobody found out about it, would that be immoral?
Yeah.
Why?
Because as a society, we've decided that we have some level of respect for the dead, and also it would probably harm the people who are related to the person who died.
I'm super confused. What if you're the only person who knows the dead body's there? They have no
Well,
family
like I
member.
said, we as a society have deemed that we
What
have
if
like
the
some level
person
of respect for the
writes-
dead.
What if the person writes a note saying, I want to have my body had sex with after I'm dead by my son. Whenever he wants, he can dig me up and have sex with that dead body. Is
Yeah,
that
we could
okay?
also have someone say, yeah, I consent to someone eating me alive. I still think that is a level of harm that is unacceptable.
Yeah, but you haven't really told me why. You just keep saying, you keep on making these weird general allusions to, we have society have determined, but the way we would use the metric under a harm principle for if society is doing the right thing or the wrong thing would be based on harm. So if society is doing something with
Yes, and I
you-
think for
Stop,
those
stop, let me
particular
finish.
things you've
So if
outlined, that
society
is a
doing
level of harm
something-
that we deem
Yeah,
unacceptable.
I don't know why you interrupted me. So if society is doing something which is actually not harmful, and they have decided that that's okay, right? Then I don't understand why you're not saying that society needs to let people dig up, Aunt Fester in the backyard and have sex with her body unless you can demonstrate who that actually harms. Because society would just be wrong then, right?
No, because as I've explained a few times now, we have a respect for the dead as a society, so that would be violating that kind of social contract.
I see. So society and society's moral intuitions become a social contract which we should adhere to.
Yeah.
Okay, so as long as I change society's mind about porn being bad, and
Sure, so let's begin. Could you
okay, hang on,
define
stop.
pornography?
I just want to make sure I got this correct. Would it then not be the case that if society agreed that porn was bad, that would now be a new social contract based on their intuition, and you, based on your own harm principle, would have to concede that you should not do then porn, right? Because you
Yeah,
would be
except
violating
the
the
majority
social
of people
contract.
don't see porn as harmful or
That's not my
bad.
question. I didn't ask what is. I asked about
Are
an
you saying
ought.
hypothetically?
Yeah, I'm asking about an ought claim. That would be
So
a
this
thing
would
that should
kind of
happen.
go back to like what I said about fast food, which is something that is obviously like objectively bad for us. But we still allow people the freedom to eat it as much as they want, even
Yeah, I'm
though
not-
it's
not asking
obviously
about
has
that.
devastating outcomes.
Yeah, nobody's disputing that. So anyway, so my question
So my
is,
answer would be the exact same for porn.
yeah, if society That's not my question. My answer is my question is, since you say these things as a society, we deem them to be bad, and that's why they're bad. Not that they're bad because you think it violates a harm principle, then ultimately the arbiter of what you think is moral is society, right?
To an extent, we have societal rules, yes. So for example, if every single person who watched porn offed themselves, yeah, we probably shouldn't have porn.
Okay, I'm super
if we're going
confused.
into
Okay, then you have
hypotheticals.
to help me out here. I'm trying to figure this out. Is society the rule maker or is harm the rule maker? Like which thing's the rule maker here?
These
Which
two
thing do you
things are
consider
like kind of
moral?
interchangeable.
Yeah, so which thing do you consider moral?
Which,
Is
can
it
you
what
repeat that?
society rules is moral, or is it what the harm principle rules is moral?
Well, society basically has like we're the ones that have created the harm principle. It's kind of interchangeable.
Yeah, that doesn't answer my question. So you have a view of what's moral and immoral inside your brain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so is that based on harm or is it based on what society says?
Harm.
It's based on harm. So then
Yes.
if something is demonstrated to be harmful, it's immoral. And if
No.
something is I'm sorry, it's not.
No.
Why?
So like I said,
What?
from
Wait,
the
what?
very beginning,
This girl doesn't know what she's talking about. She's not consistent. She keeps changing it up. Andrew's confused. I'm confused. We're all confused. Makes sense, lady. If you're enjoying this clip so far, smash that like button, please. Thank you very much. Let's continue.
from the very beginning, I've stated multiple times,
Yeah.
there is a level of harm that our society deems acceptable. This is why
Yeah,
fast food
I'm
is
asking,
legal.
yeah,
This
but
is why
you're
suntanning
switching
is
the
legal.
argument though. It doesn't make any sense. I asked
No,
you,
it
what
isn't.
do you, I'm not debating, am I debating with society or am I debating with you?
Wait, what part aren't you
Who am I
understanding?
debating with, society or you? Can you answer my question?
What part aren't you
Yeah,
understanding?
so
What
I'm
do you
not
need
understanding the
to
part
reiterate?
about who, well, here's what I need to reiterate. So since I'm debating with you about whether or not a thing ought be done, I'm debating with
Would you like me
your
to describe like what
yeah,
my
I'm
moral
sorry. Did you
framework
just
is? Is that
ask
what you're
me? Did you
confused
just
about?
ask me to give you an answer and then cut me off while I was giving it to you?
Yes.
Okay. So would you like me to give the answer or would you like to go on a diatribe? You tell
I
me.
would like to know if you want me to give you the moral framework that I'm working from. Is that
Yes.
what you Okay, let's
For
go with
harm.
utilitarianism.
Yeah, that's okay. So that would be a harm principle, right?
Yes, and there are obviously
Okay.
harms that we accept within our
Yeah, but
society.
when you say we, I'm not
Hmm.
interested in what we accept. I'm interested
Well,
in
I am
what the
because I'm interested in
person
reality.
That's great, but I'm interested in what
Hmm.
you accept because I'm debating with you. I'm not debating with a guy
Hmm.
over there. I'm not debating with the moderator. I'm not debating with Steven. I'm debating with Diddley. So, Diddley, I'm looking at your view for what is moral, what is immoral. From Diddley's view, is it immoral for two brothers to have sex with each other?
Can we get back onto the
And we
topic
are
about
on the
pornography?
topic.
I've already answered this question.
No, I'm not
Did you
asking
not
from
hear the first
I
time?
want
Did
to
you
make
not hear the
sure.
first
I
time?
want to make sure it's from your
Did you not hear
view.
the first time?
No, because the first time you said society has blah blah blah, and then
No,
when it
that was
comes,
about digging up dead
okay,
bodies
and
and
then
fucking them.
that too, is
I-
that immoral from your view?
If we need to reiterate just to move on,
I
we
already
can do that.
stated it.
No,
Do
no,
you have
you
hearing
said
issues?
society says
Wait,
blah. I'm asking.
What's annoying is that this girl has changed her position several times already, and she's asking like Andrew, like I already said this. What do you need me to explain to you again? Were you not paying attention? No, the problem was Andrew was paying attention, but you go from saying one thing and then you switch it up to another thing, and so then when he's on track and then he asks you, okay, so you believe this, then you switch it up again.
Diddley's view is it immoral?
yes, and I agree.
Why? Why
That is
would
my
it be
stance on
immoral
it.
from your
I've
view?
already Wait, Ryan, can you I already explained this, did I not?
No, no. So listen.
Well, I was going to say,
If I'm
we
going to
do-
ask you again. If
if
you
we do
just be
need to
quiet for a
reiterate,
second, I'll reiterate the question. I just want to know the answer from your view without you shifting it to
That is my view.
society. So, okay, well, I don't know
I
because I haven't
gave you
asked
my
the
view.
All right, just
I haven't
hold on
asked
one
the
second there,
question.
Diddley. We'll let him ask the question.
So I'm going to ask the question.
We'll try
What
to
I'm
answer it.
asking specifically is this: from Diddley's view, not society's view, not Joe's view, not anybody else's view, from the view of a utilitarian harm principle, somebody had a contract from grandma saying he could hump her as much as he wanted after she was dead. Okay. And there was no reason that would lead to any type of contagion to anybody else. From your view, is that immoral?
Yes.
Why?
as I stated earlier, it is violating the way that we respect the dead.
No. Wait, that makes no sense. You're making now an appeal again to we.
Okay, sorry. I respect the dead.
But why? There's no harm.
Well, no, I believe that there is.
What's the harm? What is it?
That is the harm being done.
What is it? What's the specific harm? What is it?
The specific harm is that you are in complete violation of social contract.
Wait a second. A social contract. So if it's a social contract, then again, you're deferring once again away from your harm principle to some type of societal principle. That's really weird.
So we have societal rules.
The harm reductionist, you just told me that your moral prism revolves around utilitarianism and harm reduction. I asked you, what's the harm?
That would fall under utilitarianism.
I asked you what you just read that from your own chat. You couldn't even tell me what.
I don't even have chat open.
I'll tell you what. Tell me what rule utilitarianism
Wait,
is.
what?
Tell me what rule utilitarianism even is. Put your hands up before you Google it, though, because I know you're Googling. Now, tell me what is rule utilitarianism?
So, reducing harm is good, and reducing bad things is good.
You don't know what rule utilitarianism is?
No.
Do you? Oh,
No,
okay.
I do.
Tell me what it is. What is it?
So, utilitarianism would be like there are certain situations where, for example,
I'm asking
punching
about
someone
rule
could be good.
utilitarianism.
Yes, and
I
I'm
don't
getting
care about
there.
act
Let's-
utilitarianism.
Wait, I'm getting. Can you let me answer the question?
Glad we moved
So,
away from
act
the
utilitarianism
necrophilia. Let's go down this
Is
path.
basically certain situations might call for things that might be morally wrong, could potentially be good. So, for example, killing someone could be good if it turns out that that person grows up to be Hitler. Rule utilitarianism would not be in agreement with this because killing someone is generally always immoral.
What?
Does that
would be
satisfy you?
no. That would be
your
the
answer?
difference between deontology and utilitarianism. It has nothing to do with rule utilitarianism. You gave me a deontological ethic. What is rule utilitarianism?
Can you describe it for me then?
No, I need you to. You said you're a rule
I just did.
utilitarian. Okay, so to get this right, murder's always wrong.
No.
Okay, well then you're not. What are you talking about?
Wait. What?
You're a rule utilitarianist. You said
Yes.
killing Hitler would always be wrong. Why would killing Hitler always be wrong for you, the rule utilitarianist?
Well, because it would be from the perspective that murder is wrong.
So why is murder wrong?
Because
Even if it reduces harm?
Because that's the social contract yet again.
What? What are you talking about?
Can we-
Wait, hang on.
Can we actually start
This
discussing
is the
porn?
discussion. Right now we're just talking about basic ethical frameworks so we can even get into the debate. I want to ask so just to get this right, you said a rule utilitarian would say against an act utilitarian, you can't go back in time and kill Hitler because that's wrong. Why is that wrong?
Because killing is bad.
Why? Even if it reduces harm?
Yeah.
Why?
Because you are violating someone's personal autonomy.
Even if it reduces
And violating someone's personal autonomy is morally bad.
harm? Okay, why? If it reduces harm to violate autonomy, why would that be bad?
Because violating someone's personal autonomy is like detrimental to their well-being.
Wait a second. If you violated Hitler's personal autonomy, thus killing Hitler, you would save the lives of millions upon millions of people. How's that not the ultimate in harm reduction? You're saying that we shouldn't do that because you would violate his personal autonomy?
Sure.
Okay, well then if that's the case, then I should never defend myself if I'm being attacked by somebody because that would violate their personal autonomy.
That is not
I do want to jump in
that
there,
is
guys.
not the same thing whatsoever. That would be
Okay, why isn't it?
self-defense.
Well, wait. I'm sorry.
That would be an
isn't
example of
killing-
self-defense.
Isn't killing, but the reason self-defense is good is because it reduces harm to you, the non-aggressor, right? Same thing killing Hitler. The reason killing Hitler would be good.
Yeah, but someone
because
is like trying to kill you versus someone merely existing in your presence.
I'm going to ask
So you
politely,
wouldn't
I'm going to ask
kill-
Andrew if you can, just to really hardcore tie this into the, how would you,
Because
the
she's
meat
making
beaten
moral
topic that we
because
chose
she's
tonight.
asking
All
to
right.
make she's asking to make moral prescriptions for things inside of society as to what is moral, what is not, what is immoral. That's going to be determined, and she brought this up in her opening statement. Said Christians, they have X value, Y value, whatever. Right? That's totally fine. It's complete.
It doesn't make perfect sense just because you say it makes perfect sense. And by the way, wouldn't evil German man be infringing on millions of people's personal bodily autonomy by doing what he did? So wouldn't it be a good thing?
So
Wait, what part of that doesn't make sense to
Well,
you?
because then you have a conflicting value that's saying autonomy is actually the principle which is moral, not harm.
Well, yes, but autonomy is intrinsically linked to harm.
Well, no.
Yes, it
you
is.
can
Taking away people's
definitely-
autonomy and freedoms is harmful.
You can definitely reduce people's freedom, and it could be not very harmful. Like, for instance, should I own a nuclear bomb?
No,
Why not? What about my autonomy?
because
What if I
that
build it
is
in my
a level
backyard?
of harm that's
All right,
just
we are so
unacceptable.
Wait,
far
wait,
out.
hang
Hold
on. No, I can't let it go. Why is
we
it
have
me
to, because
opening a nuclear
it's a discussion
bomb?
about morality. It's not
Yeah,
a discussion
it's very
about,
important. That well, I'm sorry. You want me to say that I'm going to ban porn based on moral grounds, and yet I can't understand my opponent's morality. Last question. I'll tie it in very quickly. Very quickly. Why can't I own a nuclear bomb?
Because it is a level of harm that we deem unacceptable.
Okay, but we deem it unacceptable. Society does.
Would you prefer if I just said I every time?
Yeah, I'm not debating
I
with
think
we.
I think you perfectly understand what I mean when I say that.
I don't, because
This is just
Because here's
semantics.
what's no. Well, first of all, semantics are super important to a debate. I don't know if you know that or not, because it's clarifying what it is we're talking about. At this point, when we're talking about a nuclear bomb and I own it, you say autonomy is the highest value a person should have because to violate it is to do harm. But then when I say if I have a nuclear bomb, you say that's too much harm for society, so they deem it inappropriate.
Yes,
and so you
because
can't
your
have it.
personal autonomies can't infringe on other people's autonomy. You
Got
can't
it.
just kill anyone you want.
Got it. So our value for morality is actually autonomy then.
Yes, which
Okay,
is
not harm.
intrinsically linked to harm.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
You don't
Explain
think
how
you-
it isn't. Explain how it isn't.
you can limit people's freedoms for their own good, and it delivers less harm and more happiness to them.
So it is linked to harm.
No, I'm saying it's when
You
we're
just
talking about a
mentioned
lack.
harm in the
Yeah.
sentence.
Okay, well
while
then
mentioning
everything's
autonomy.
linked to everything. I'm linking it to your harm principle. So what I'm saying to you is that yes, of course, you can make a reduction in harm or whatever with any metrics you want. But autonomy itself, right? You say, it's linked to this harm thing. Okay, great. But I still haven't actually established what the moral parameters are. If we harm thing and that autonomy or whatever like your other axis is, let's say more good happens than bad thing happens, that means I should do that thing, right? You say no.
Can you repeat that?
Okay, so let's say I do an action, right?
Mhm.
And more good things happen for people than bad things. Should I do that action?
Well, wait, it's highly dependent on what the action is.
Why? Yeah, but then that's not utilitarianism. unless
Well,
I
no,
mean,
it
what
is
else?
because then again,
It is?
because your autonomy cannot infringe on other people's autonomy.
Why?
That's why,
Why can't it?
because personal autonomy is something that is intrinsically linked to people's well-being, and
but
I care about well-being.
Yeah, but why do you care about well-being? Because otherwise it's harmful to not have well-being, right?
We kind of have a biological imperative to care about well-being because that's kind of what aids our survival.
Yeah,
as
but
a
how do you
species.
determine well-being except harm? This harm idea.
How do I determine well-being?
Yeah.
People's happiness?
And that would be linked to harm? Or is it just what makes
Yeah.
people happy? That's what I'm saying. Like, if it makes everybody happy to molest children, should we do that?
No, again.
Okay,
so
well then it's not
that-
just about people's I don't have any idea what your actual worldview is.
All right. You promise.
Yeah, I don't think she knows what it is. It sounds like to me she's never had a deep thought in her life. She's never actually deeply thought about any of these things. She knows what she knows because pretty much society has taught her this is what's right and this is what's wrong, which is why she keeps appealing to society and the social contract thing. She actually doesn't know why it's wrong to do the how do you say, the horizontal mambo with a deceased person. She doesn't know why it's wrong. She just knows society tells her that it's wrong. But she's actually never thought about, well, why is that wrong?
And
All right,
and
all right,
I
I'll
let you
tie-
ask a
I'll tie it
whole
off.
lot.
So can we now hear what your worldview is,
Well,
and
that's-
then can we
that's-
also circle back to you defining pornography?
That's what we're
Yeah,
gonna do. So
I
let's-
think
let's
I
do
think that all things which are harmful should be banned. That includes alcohol and fried food and cigarettes and everything.
Wait, so you do bite the bullet then on banning fast food? You think like McDonald's?
Yeah, what do I care?
All
I don't
those
give a
fast food places should be banned?
what do I care if you got rid of McDonald's? I don't care. Get rid of it.
Do you think people should it be illegal for people to go out in the sun since skin cancer is harmful?
Do you think it should be illegal to go out in the sun then, since skin cancer is harmful? Yeah, first of all, going out in the sun doesn't guarantee that you're going to get skin cancer. Also, there are benefits to going out in the sun and getting sunshine. There is vitamin D, which we need, which we get from the sun. So there are health benefits too from going outside and playing and getting fresh air. There are no benefits to eating fast food all the time. Fast food is inherently bad for you. There are no upsides to eating fast food, health-wise. Convenience-wise, there are upsides, but health-wise, there are zero health benefits from fast food. Therefore, if they did ban fast food, yeah, it's probably for the best. And I love fast food, but I know it's bad for me. So yeah, if they wanted to ban fast food, I would have no problem with it. It is not the same as going outside and going out and getting some fresh air.
Oh, wait a second. Skin cancer harmful, but does the sun cause skin cancer?
Does the sun cause skin cancer?
Hmm.
Yes.
Okay. And are there other things which would cause skin cancer other than the sun?
Like smoking?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait,
So-
so you would ban people going
So
outside?
I just want to make sure that I got this right. Let's say I ban, well, I'm just using the same metric you are. Let's say I ban McDonald's because society says so, right? They don't like McDonald's anymore. And then I ban alcohol because society says so. They don't like alcohol anymore. And then we ban porn because society says so because they don't like porn anymore. Do you actually have any problem with any of this?
Well, it depends. What do you mean? Because they say so.
No, it's just society and the social contract has said no more
Well,
McDonald's.
no, because like if society says that we love slavery, I don't think we should legalize slavery.
Oh, well, then I'm really confused about what
Wait,
is
can you
the
answer
social
my question
contract?
about should we ban people going outside in the sun?
No.
Why?
Well,
You
because
said
there's
we
no
should
because
ban
there's
things that are
no-
harmful.
because there's no social contract for
You
banning
said
it.
we should ban things that are harmful.
Mhm. Yeah. If there's no social contract. I mean, if we don't have a social contract, we can't ban it, right?
So if people think it's bad, then that's
Mhm. Yeah,
That's it.
you don't actually understand. I'm still doing an internal critique, but here's what I'll do. Here's
well,
what
I
I'll
have
do.
asked for your
Yeah. I'll help you. I'll help you out.
framework,
I'm
and
just
you
trying to
haven't
show
given
you.
it to
I'm
me
just
yet.
trying to show you
I've
how
continually
absurd it is.
asked you to
Here's
Give me your
my
moral
framework.
framework.
Here's my framework.
Okay.
I operate under the framework of Christian ethics. Christian ethics is going to be a biblically founded ethical system which comes from the church. Okay, it comes from the church, and it comes from the Bible, and it comes from the teachings of Jesus Christ, right? That's my
Okay.
moral ethical system. And so it's within those parameters, the belief in Jesus Christ, that would be the way in which I would act and the thresholds with which I would act and why I would value things like duty, though harm principles are included in Christian ethics. Yes, all of those things. When it comes to pornography, I think it's perfectly appropriate for us under Christian ethics to ban that. For other things, other considerations, like things like dignity to society, dignity to a person, things like this in the moral consideration. If you were to get rid of pornography altogether, I'm not sure how society gets worse.
So are you saying that basically things that you would deem bannable in society is just based on the Bible? So we should
No,
ban any.
it's not based on just the Bible. What were
So
the
what is it?
metrics that I gave you?
So the Bible and the church.
And the teachings of Jesus Christ, right?
So the Bible.
Well, no, here's the thing. Jesus Christ said, all of my teachings will never fit in this book. So there's also things like divine revelation, revelation of our saints. There's many other factors that would go into the complex system, which is Christian ethics. But what I have that you don't have is an unchanging standard from which to appeal. You don't even have any standard from which to appeal. You just say either society has a social contract that they don't like it, or that's it. You have not actually demonstrated why anything would be immoral except just my preference.
So have you read the Bible before?
Uh-huh.
Is there anything in the Bible that you would deem morally reprehensible?
What does that have to do
Like,
with this debate?
but because it's your entire moral framework.
Well, wait a second. I thought that I was questioning your moral framework, that wasn't allowed. Now it's allowed?
I never said it was allowed. Not
Oh,
allowed.
okay. Then why did I have to move off when I had pinned you down on your utilitarian ethical framework, and now you get to move into mine? Can the moderator explain
Wait,
that
so
to me?
you're arguing from the affirmative and I don't get to hear your moral framework?
I'm willing to give it to you. I just don't understand
Yeah,
why
great.
it is
So
that you
can
do,
you answer the
but
question?
I don't. But
So
yeah,
can you answer the
no,
question?
I don't find anything objectionable in Christian ethics. Nothing.
Okay. Would you
Yeah.
mind if I read out some Bible quotes then?
Sure.
Since,
Go ahead.
So you could tell that this is pretty much all she was waiting for. This is basic B-word atheist. Oh, haha, gotcha. It says this in the Bible. So you support that then? It's a way for people who want to justify their sins. This is their go-to arguments in order to be like, see, and then therefore I don't have to listen to Christianity or God or what have you. It is just an excuse for people who want to keep sinning.
Go ahead.
So are you for legalizing rape?
There's no such legalization in the Bible.
Okay,
If
so
you,
By the way, and then you'll see that she actually has no idea what she's talking about. She's never actually read the Bible. She just cherry picks the parts that sound bad, having no idea what the context is, as you'll see.
Deuteronomy
yeah.
22 verse 28, if a man happens to meet a virgin who is not pledged to be married and rapes her and they are discovered, he shall pay her father 50 shekels of silver. He must marry the young woman for he's violated her. He can never divorce her for as long as he lives. Is this something that you would morally uphold?
do you know what the fallacy of presentism is?
No.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to explain it to you. The fallacy of presentism is you looking through a present view for things which are culturally considered to be bad or things like this, without actually looking through the system of the time through the eyes of the people at the time. So here's what's
That's
here's what's-
interesting because didn't you just say
Stop,
your moral
stop.
system is unchanging?
Yeah, stop. I'm not changing it. I'm telling
No,
you that
you said
you're,
it's unchanging. So why
yeah,
does the
you're
time
using,
matter?
You're using a fallacious argument. You're the
No, I'm
one
not.
who is using a time argument in order to say that something is moral or immoral. Let me explain, and then
Not
you'll
at all.
know. At the time, first of all, this is not rape. Okay. Here's what was actually happening. If it was the
Okay.
case that a man were to assault a woman, there's very few people in this time period. If it is the case that a man were to assault a woman like this, okay, and do horrible things to her, he would be held to account under a patriarchal system. Okay. What do you do with these people? Well, often they put them to death. Okay.
Well, in this case, he's
Yeah, in
forced
Deut-
to
no,
marry
actually,
her and
in-
can never divorce
Yeah,
her.
in Deuteronomy,
actually.
it also moves into death. It moves into death for
Oh
rapists.
no, but this
Yes,
this
yeah, calm
specific
down.
verse that I'm talking about,
the
he
Bible's
must marry her and never
Oh my
divorce her
God,
as
the
long as
Bible's
he lives.
self-referencing, right? So Deuteronomy doesn't just have one passage in it, does it? Does it have other passages?
Mhm.
Oh, okay, great. And so
I can read some more if you would like.
keep reading.
Okay, so Deuteronomy 22 verse 20. But if the thing is true, the evidences of virginity are not found for the young woman, then they shall bring out the young woman to the door of her father's home, and the men of her city shall stone her to death with stones, because she has done a disgraceful thing in Israel.
Read
Would
it
you
again?
condone this?
Wait, read it one more time. I just want to make sure. By the way, which version are you reading out of?
This is the New King James Version, which I believe is the version that your Orthodox Church uses, right?
No, but I mean, close enough.
I mean,
Go
I
ahead.
can get a different one if you want.
No, it's fine. Just read it again.
But if the thing is true, the evidences of virginity are not found
No,
for
no,
the
I
young
need to
woman.
give me the passage first. Sorry.
Okay, I can get the context before that.
No, I just want the passage.
Oh,
Yeah. Go ahead.
So this is Deuteronomy 22, verse 20.
Mhm.
But if the thing is true, the evidences of virginity are not found for the young woman, then they shall bring out the young woman to the door of her father's house, and the men of her city shall stone her to death with stones, because she has done a disgraceful thing in Israel.
Yeah, so
So is this something you condone?
yeah, so Deuteronomy is referencing the law which is given to the Jews. I follow Christian ethics. Do I follow Jewish?
Okay, well, we can talk instead about, let's see. Well, we can talk about Genesis.
So that would be okay. You want to? What about Genesis? What
So
about
we can talk about the genocide that God committed against the entire world. It's a lovely children's story. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's commonly known as Noah's Ark.
when he killed evil people?
So Genesis 6, verse 6, and the Lord was sorry that he made man on earth, and he was grieved in his heart. So the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and the beast, creeping thing and bird of the air, for I'm sorry that I've made them. And I heard just a little comment earlier. So wait, so you endorse this genocide?
If you killed every evil person on Earth?
Oh no, it was everyone on planet Earth.
Who was
Except
evil?
for the few people who were on the ark.
That's because they were
Also,
the
just
ones who
wiping
were
off.
evil.
We're cool with just wiping off the entire planet.
If they were all evil?
Sorry, evil meaning that they simply weren't obeying God.
Evil as in they were raping, murdering, thieving.
No.
doing horrible
This is
things.
just people who like God was mad with them
it
for not
definitely isn't. You need to go
not
back and reread
obeying.
Genesis.
Imagine this girl. She's trying to correct Andrew Wilson, someone who has actually read the Bible, about what the context was behind Noah's Ark and why God did what he did. The nerve of this woman. Again, change your name to Diddly Squat, because that's how much she knows. If you're enjoying this clip so far, please smash that like button. Subscribe to my channel. You'll be helping me out a lot. Let's continue.
Because
All right, well, we can go instead to 1 Samuel 15, verse 2.
I think first we're gonna respond.
Thus says the Lord of
Okay,
hosts, I will punish Amalek for
I'm
what
gonna
he did to
respond.
Israel,
Hold on,
how
hold on,
he
hold on.
ambushed him.
Just
Can
before
I
you-
just
hold
could
on,
I just
before you
finish
move
this?
on.
Because this is
you just really couldn't.
Hold
until I
on,
can
just before you
respond.
move on.
could
from
I finish
that,
this? This is
No,
completely
you
separate
just
from
really
Noah's Ark.
couldn't.
Well,
until
I was gonna say
I respond.
before we do the completely separate from Noah's Ark, I do think it's fair, just because somebody. I am very interested in doing this type of unpack, but I do think it is fair for Andrew to say that as the Bible I think does describe them as wicked people. But go ahead there, Andrew. Whether you think that's valid or not, you can debate that. But
Sure,
go ahead,
and
Andrew.
God describes anyone who doesn't believe him as wicked people. That's why they get condemned to hell for all eternity, right?
Because what the reference there is they're referencing that people who don't have some type of synergistic relationship with God are doing wicked things like raping, murdering, I don't know, prostitution, things like that.
Wait, so do you agree that simply not believing in God means you are wicked?
No, I think that not believing in God. So you have to understand that there's two different covens which you're talking about. So I believe in the new covenant of Christianity. When you're talking about what Jesus Christ came, right? He set down what Christian ethical law is. You continuously reference Jewish law, which has nothing to do with Christian ethics. I have no idea why you're doing that. What moral framework did I say I followed?
You specifically said you follow the church, the
Christian
Bible.
ethics. Yes.
Yes, this is the Christian Bible.
Yeah, but do you recognize that in the Christian Bible, there's people groups who have specific laws which are given to them, which is made for Jews only for specific reasons, that there's a new covenant under Jesus Christ, and it's the new covenant under Jesus Christ with his 2 additional commandments, the 10 commandments, things like this, and Christian ethics under the guidance of Jesus Christ that we follow? Do you get that?
So you're saying you don't condone these acts? Is that what you're getting
I'm
at?
saying I follow Christian ethics, and you don't understand what you're reading. So there's.
So do you or do you not condone the genocide in the Bible?
They're
and
not
rape and
genocides.
murder?
Yeah, I think.
Why is it not genocide?
I think if you kill a lot of.
Wait, can you define genocide?
Yeah. So can you just stop talking? So anyway.
I did. I'm allowing you to answer.
Great. Okay, so I think if you kill lots and lots and lots of bad people, that's fine. If you call that a genocide, I don't care.
Wait, so can you define genocide?
However you define it's fine. If you think it's a genocide,
okay, so how do you not agree that that's genocide?
Oh, if you're defining that as a genocide, fine. I'll concede. If you kill all the bad people and that's genocide, I don't care.
Okay, well, you just said it wasn't a genocide, so that's nice. So
Okay, so
There's
now
also-
now we've established my moral foundation of Christian ethics.
I like that you both
Right.
had an I don't care moment. This
Yeah,
is
so
it's kind of endearing.
well, why do I care about whatever the idea of whatever she considers genocide to be?
yeah,
You
so
could-
that's
you could call
kind of
that
exactly
wall-
my point,
you
is
could
that
call
your
that
moral
wall
framework does not
genocide.
care whatsoever about people's well-being. You care only for
Oh, really? It's my moral.
Mhm.
Okay, I see. So let's just make sure I got this right. I'm willing to say that it's acceptable for evil people to get killed. You would save Hitler.
Yeah, that's what she said. She said she wouldn't do anything to Hitler because that would be infringing on his bodily autonomy.
Right?
Okay, so evil people would include anyone who
Mhm.
doesn't believe in God. So you're saying you condone
No, that's a straw man. Did I
the
say
genocide?
Did I say that's what makes a person evil? You said that.
So you don't agree?
No, of course not. And would you like for me to give you reference in
So
the
then why
Christian
people
Bible?
who don't believe in God why are they sent to hell to suffer for all eternity if
Orthodox
they're not
don't-
evil?
The Orthodox don't believe in hell in that way. I don't know if you knew that or not. But also, just so you understand, if you're talking about Paul and you're talking about the apostles would often talk about how there's good written on people's hearts that comes from God, right? And that we are not to take wrathful judgment against people, kill them, things like this. That's against the bones of Christian ethics. Now, if it is the case that evil people are trying to dominate or do bad things and God smites them for doing that, well, I mean, what are you going to do about it? What
All
are
right,
you going
well,
to do about it?
maybe could we see like what constitutes as like an evil person for you? Is it do adulterers count as evil?
I think that that's a sinful act, but it wouldn't necessarily facilitate. So I'll explain how the Orthodox view sin. So what we would say is that's sinful. But think about this beer. So every sin you do, if you have small sins, it fills up the beer bottle a little bit. If you have large sins, it fills up the beer bottle a lot more, right? All sin is corrupting and all sin is bad, right? And the more sin you have in you, the more corrupted you are. But that doesn't mean that you're not redeemable. And it doesn't even necessarily mean that you're evil. There could be sins of omission, for instance, that you have.
I'm gonna have to sin, Andrew.
Yeah, we
Almost
wouldn't
low.
consider that to be evil, right? But all sin is abhorrent to God, right? It's just that there's metrics for which they poison you, the person. What you're doing is you're trying to argue with a Protestant, of which I'm not, and I don't know why you're trying to do that. It's very silly.
Well, I'm
But this
arguing
aside,
from the book that you use.
I have an unchanging standard. You have a changing standard. So when we're talking about porn and banning porn, what I'm trying to do is get consistency from you. If porn, now I've just answered your questions, please answer mine. Society itself, is society itself, from your view, the arbiter of what is moral, or isn't it?
Is the society the arbiter of what's moral?
Yes.
No.
So then you're the arbiter of what's moral.
Me personally?
Yes.
I mean, I don't think so. I
Well,
think
then
like
who the
I have a
fuck is
pretty
the
good,
arbiter of what's moral?
I would say I have a pretty good like moral framework which aims to
So then
increase
you're the
people's
arbiter of
well-being.
what's moral.
Not necessarily, no.
Well, then who is?
I think it's better when people like come together and agree on things that would
Well,
benefit
how many
society
people then
based
would,
on empiricism and
how many people then would be the arbiter of what is moral? How many people does it take before we have an arbiter of what is morality?
well, that's like why we have things like democracy, isn't it?
No, that's not why we have things like democracy, unless you're saying kings can't decide what are moral. But that aside,
no.
a king can't decide what's moral.
Well, they behave in like a way that is like beneficial to them, not for the benefit of people, usually.
You behave in ways that are beneficial to you.
I'm not a king or a queen.
Why would that matter? Why couldn't a king?
You're the one that
why
brought it
couldn't-
up.
Why couldn't a king make or moral decisions for their people? I don't
I'm
get
not
that.
saying they can't. I'm
Well,
saying
then what
they
are you
have
talking-
their interests.
So then, the arbiter of morality is who?
What an idiot. She just automatically assumes. So in her head, she associates king with bad, king with like dominance, king with just, oh, they're only in there to serve themselves. In other words, she's just going from the framework, all kings bad. When in reality, a king is a human being, just like she is a human being, just like we're all human beings, and we're all selfish to an extent. So what's the difference with the king going in there and potentially serving his own interest, and a group of people putting something to a vote and they're voting in their self-interest? A king and regular people could both act in their self-interest, and she doesn't understand that.
Is it you or is it someone who's not you? Who ultimately is the determiner of what is moral?
I don't believe
for
in
you?
objective morality.
That's not what I'm asking you. So if it's objective morality, then you definitely are the arbiter of what is moral, right?
In my own personal worldview, yes.
Okay. So there is no such thing as objective morality. It's all subjective?
Yeah.
Okay. So then
Unless, of course, you can prove that God exists right now.
So then it just comes down to preferences?
Yes, and as to yours.
Oh, okay. Well, then it's my preference. Porn is banned. Anything else?
So this is where it starts to get really funny, because Andrew starts arguing the same way that she is, where everything just comes down to his personal preference, and she gets irritated, not knowing that this is exactly her own position.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask, so obviously you get all your moral, would you say you're an
Who
advocate
cares?
for
I just
divine
told you.
command theory?
I just told you it's my preference that porn is banned. What's the problem?
So is that based on
Am I doing
way that the
something?
Bible-
Wait, am I doing something
is
immoral?
that the way that the Bible talks
Am
about,
I
like,
doing
lust?
something moral or immoral or bad or awful or in any way against your worldview if my preference is that porn is banned and so therefore it's banned?
Well, no, it isn't.
Oh, okay. Well, then if it's not immoral, I don't
I'm
care.
the status quo, not you.
Oh, okay. So it's only your preferences which are moral and not mine?
In my worldview, yes, I'm
Oh, well,
obviously
then in
more
my
moral than you
worldview,
are.
in my worldview, it's the same way.
Yes, I agree.
My preferences
I
are more
agree.
moral than your preferences.
Yes,
So if
that's
you're-
what you believe, obviously.
So if your preferences are and you're the orchestrator and arbiter of all that is moral, and I also, from my view, am the orchestrator and arbiter of all that is moral, how could a third person determine which one of us is right? Which one of us is actually the most
That's a really great question, actually, because if you're advocating for divine command theory, how would you argue against a Muslim who
What does
says...
that have to do with my question? I didn't ask
Wait.
you to ask me a question. I asked you to answer a question. Can you answer my question?
What is it?
My question is this, is that if it's the case that my preferences are the ultimate arbiter of what is morality, just like you claim yours is.
This is based on your own worldview. It's not based on reality.
My worldview.
Your moral worldview is not based on reality whatsoever.
Listen. What do you mean?
Wait,
preference?
What? Porn is not banned.
It's my
That's
preference.
reality.
Listen, it's my preference to follow Christian ethics. It's my preference to follow the
Yes, it
preferences
is.
of God. It's my preference to do all these things. Is any of that immoral?
Like, is it immoral that you have those preferences?
Yeah, even if they're
No.
wrong. Like, let's grant Christianity was not true. Let's just grant it for the sake of argument. It's totally untrue. It's totally fake. It's totally false. It never occurred. I just believe it because it's my preference. Is that in any way wrong?
To hold those standards? No.
Yeah. Oh,
I believe
okay,
in freedom of
Well,
expression,
then
freedom of speech.
if that's the case,
Unlike you?
if that's the case,
Is that right?
then all that matters is that it's my preference. Christianity is true. It's my preference that porn be banned, and I'm at no more of an immoral position than you are. So you can't even say that me wanting to ban porn based specifically on just my own preference is in any way even bad.
I don't think I'm not a thought police. I'm not Christian.
Yeah,
You're the ones that do thought policing.
But if I try to enact my thoughts onto you because it's my preference, why is that bad?
Wait, that's completely different. Are you talking about state enforcing
Yeah,
violations of my human rights?
If I walk over
Well,
to
that's
you,
different than just holding an opinion.
Why? That's really weird. If I walk, it's my preference though.
No, there's a difference between preferences and state enforcement, right?
That's all preferences.
It's based on a preference.
No, it's all preference. A king prefers that you be fucking oppressed. Why is he wrong?
So
He's just held to your same standard.
What you consider morally good, is that based on God's preferences?
It's based
Or
on
is
my
it-
preferences for God's preferences.
Oh, so something is morally good just because God commands it.
No, it's good because it's my preference that it's good.
Wait, so then God has nothing to do with it.
No, it's my preference that God's preferences be enforced.
So then I'm correct that something is morally good simply because God commands it.
No, it's morally good because it's my preference that everything God morally commands be enforced.
Okay, that's what I just said, and that means it's
That's not what
completely
you just said.
arbitrary and based on your own personal preference.
So is yours.
I agree. I'm the only
Okay,
one that
then
will
if
admit
that's
that, though.
then if that's the case, then if
I'm the
that's
only one
case,
who's going to admit that.
hey, I'll just bite it. If that's the case, and we're just doing arbitrary shit, and we're just basing it on our own personal preferences, then if I get a whole army with machine guns to come in and say no more fucking porn, you can't actually say there's anything wrong with that, right?
No, I can, because now
Why?
we're talking about state enforcement of violating people's rights, which is completely different than just holding a thought in your
But
mind.
it's my preference, and I'm the ultimate arbiter of what is moral, just like you.
What part are you not understanding between like thought policing and state enforcement?
Well, I don't. Well, here's what I don't understand. If I want to use force and I say that it's
Mhm.
moral because it's my preference, can you demonstrate how that's immoral?
If you're actually actively
Yeah.
using force, or if
Yeah.
you're just thinking
If I
about it,
kick in your fucking door right now,
then
right?
yes,
Tell me
That's
how it's
bad.
immoral. How?
because you are violating my personal autonomy.
So what? That's all your preference.
Yes. Wait,
Yeah.
what
so
what
but my
part
preference.
are you
What
not
about my
getting?
preference?
My moral framework is I'm concerned with
See, Andrew is laughing because now he has forced her to go into her moral framework all on her own. He is starting to argue her position because her position is just, well, it's my preference. So he's like, okay, well, it's my preference and to do this. What makes my preference better than yours? She's trying to say, well, it's because you're starting to go into state's thing and stuff. She doesn't realize, though, is that she is basing everything on her preference. Her preference is she should just want porn allowed. Everyone should be able to watch porn. I mean, obviously, I'm assuming she's going to say of age, to have access of porn. People should be allowed to make porn. That is her preference. That's what she prefers people to do. That is her preference of what is to be allowed. She doesn't see, though, that that is kind of infringing on Andrew Wilson's preference, on my preference, on a lot of people's preference. She thinks it is just freedom of expression, but in reality it is infringing on people's beliefs and on people's infringements. That is why Andrew at the beginning tried to establish a moral groundwork to see where she gets her values and her morals from. But when she said, well, it is just my preference, well, now he's saying, well, this is just a useless debate, then a pointless debate, because if we're just arguing based on preference, well, then there's no point to this debate because it's just going to be an argument on preferences. That is why he was doing all that questioning at the beginning.
people's well-being, and yours isn't. Yours is based on simply what God tells you to, even if that results in mass human suffering.
Why is that even bad?
Why is mass human suffering bad?
Sure.
Why is genocide bad?
Yeah.
Do you think those are good things?
That's not what I asked you. Did I ask you to ask me, or did I ask you?
No, I was asking you first.
Yeah. What? No, I asked you first. I said, why is it bad?
I've already answered this multiple times. You are violating people's personal
Because
autonomy, which is
why
morally
that
wrong.
bad? Why is that
Can
bad?
you answer? Is it bad to
Sure, it's
create
bad.
mass human suffering?
Yeah. Well,
It's bad?
Well, no. Wait. When you say mass human suffering, I'm not sure that we have a standard for bad. What do you mean by bad? What does bad mean?
Can you even define what pornography is for me?
What
That
does
is
that
the
have to
first
do
thing
with
I
anything?
asked
Why do
you.
you keep switching the
It's the
goalposts?
entire debate.
Stop
it is the first
moving
thing I
the
asked you.
fucking goalpost and answer my question. What is bad? And then I can answer your question.
Bad is
What?
something that results in human suffering.
Why is that bad?
Because it is a complete violation of our intrinsic need to have personal autonomy.
Well, then no. I would say that human suffering is not bad, as people go to the gym and they suffer, and that's not bad.
Okay, just because I am interested
No.
too.
Also, if I use my bodily autonomy to infringe on someone else's bodily autonomy, let's say someone I knew was a drug addict, and so I saw them, about to inject themselves, and let's say I swapped it out of their hand, and then I took the needle and I threw it in the toilet or trash or what have you, just somewhere where they couldn't get it. I would be infringing on their bodily autonomy. Does that lead to his mass suffering? Well, yeah, temporarily it will, because they're going to go through withdrawals. But in the long term, it will be better for them, but it's infringing on their bodily autonomy. However, it's not going to lead to long-term harm. So there are times where you can infringe on someone's bodily autonomy And it's not a just inherently a bad thing or causing direct harm.
And you said
No?
you would, just because you did say you would define it, yeah, if you can give us a definition there, maybe we can get back into some of the subjects. So, Andrew, how would you define the terms of our debate tonight?
Anything against my preferences is bad.
So,
Can you define pornography?
Anything that I deem to be pornographic,
Which is what?
whatever's my preference to be pornographic,
Which is what?
whatever it is.
Can you be good faith for like a second?
This is the most good faith. I'm trying
No,
to
it
explain to
isn't.
you how stupid you are. So anything within my preference is whatever I think pornography is, because it's my preference, and that's I'm the
So
highest.
what, like off
I am
feet
the
pics
highest.
pornography?
I am the highest arbiter. of
Okay, I'm
what
just gonna have
is
to ask you a bunch
everything.
of questions to find the real answer now. So are feet pics pornography?
Sure.
Okay, is literature pornography? Like 50
Can
Shades
be.
of Grey,
Yeah,
that kind of
can be.
thing?
Can be. I'll know it when I see it.
hold on. So,
Okay.
if somebody is going off on the to this video right now, are we doing something wrong? I have to ask, like, if somebody is just like going to town on themselves right now watching this debate, like, just
So,
if you want to give us
just
an answer there,
to-
Andrew, what are we doing?
Just to
in
be
that
clear, so
situation?
you want to start essentially book burning, so 50 Shades of Grey would be in there.
What are you talking about? That's not in my
Well-
preference.
Well, we're talking about banning pornography.
Yeah, I know. I only want to ban things though that I deem to be pornography within my preference. Can you tell me why
Well,
that's
you just
wrong?
said that literature, including 50 Shades of Grey, would be.
No, I didn't say
pornography.
that. I didn't say 50 Shades
did
of Grey
say
is
that.
pornography. No, I didn't. You just made it up. So anyway, so back to this. Anything that I look at, you know what else
You're
is
so bad faith. It's
hang on. You know what
insane.
else is pornography? Garfield. Garfield's getting fucking banned because that's in my preference. That's pornography too.
So do you want to seriously engage now?
I am seriously engaging. I'm explaining to you that if your reference is preference, any preference I have has to be moral. So there's no way for you to make a determination that me wanting to ban pornography based on completely arbitrary reasons is totally fine. Unless you can explain to me why it isn't.
So again, you're arguing from the affirmative and you've completely failed to explain what those parameters even
No,
are.
okay, here, I'll give you the parameters from the affirmative. Porn should be banned because it's my preference.
Okay, so what is porn?
Anything that I deemed in my preference to be pornography is pornography.
Okay, and you just said before, so feet pics, we can't post feet pics online anymore?
Maybe some. It depends on what I see, and then I'll know because it'll be in my preference.
Okay, so should we ban even like writings in books about giving oral sex?
Some of them, for sure.
Some
I'm
of
just
them?
not sure which ones. You have to go case by case. Like, tell me a
Okay,
specific
so like the
book.
Bible, like Song of Songs when it talks about
No, of course
oral
not.
sex?
That wouldn't be in my preference.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
so we're accepting like some forms of literature erotica, but not others?
Anything that's in my preference is what porn is. Do you understand that?
You're
Can you tell me why I'm
not being
wrong?
honest. You're being
Literally,
dishonest.
can you tell me why I'm wrong?
You're being so
please?
intellectually dishonest. Why won't you
Okay,
answer the
here's
question?
my whole position. You ready? I'm looking for an argument, though, not another question. Give me a fucking argument, actual argument. I want porn banned because it's against my preference. Can you give me a single fucking argument for why that should not be the case?
Because it violates people's personal autonomy.
And is that a preference?
Of mine? Of my
Yeah.
moral framework? Yes.
Yeah.
What's
Okay,
wrong
well,
with that?
I have a preference against yours.
Wait, why
That's
is
what's
that a
wrong
bad
with it.
thing?
Because my preference is the ultimate arbiter of all preferences.
Okay, based on a God that you can't prove exists.
No, just
So
based
now-
on me.
So can you be honest and
And who
answer
cares
how
if
you
I can't even if I
define
couldn't prove,
pornography?
even if I can't prove God and my whole preference is wrong, I'm still the ultimate arbiter of all things which are preferential. So why
Can
is
you
it?
answer the question?
I just answered it.
No, you didn't.
Okay, what's the question?
What constitutes as pornography?
Mm-hmm. Whatever I say pornography is.
I want actual descriptions of what you think pornography is.
What I just gave you an actual
Why can you not
description.
define it?
What anything
Why
that
is this such a hard question
I
for
just
you?
how does the Supreme Court define it? Didn't a Supreme Court judge said I know it when I see it?
Based on like are you talking about the Miller test in terms
Yeah.
of determining
He said,
pornography
I'll
versus
know it.
obscenity?
I'll know it when I see it. And just like he said, it's my preference. Same thing. I'll know it when I see it. And if it violates my preference, it's fucking immoral. Can you
Okay,
tell
so
me why it
can you
is?
describe what things would violate your personal preference?
Oh, yeah, sure. All sorts of things. Like you being a prostitute violates my personal preference. That should stop. It's immoral.
Okay, but you did say like some feet pics are okay, right? So I should be fine. I don't do
No,
full
yeah,
nudity,
feed pics
right?
from my wife to me are fine.
Oh, okay. So
Mhm.
we can send like personal pornography and that's fine.
To your husband, sure, that's in my preference.
But you're for banning pornography.
Yeah, pornography would be bad unless it's
So if the
with your
state
husband.
finds out you're getting
Mhm.
sent nudes from your wife, should
If
you
only
have punishments
if
for
only
that?
your wife sees your nudes, no,
Should you be
that's
punished
fine.
by the law for privately sending nudes?
To your husband?
Yes, if pornography
No,
is banned.
no, not to your husband.
So what policy exactly are you enacting which would ban pornography but not privately sent pornography?
Oh, well, I'm glad that you asked. So what I would do is I would make sure that all pornography which exists on any website which is accessible between strangers would be outlawed immediately, and that all OnlyFans would be shut down immediately, that all public displays of nudity would be shut down immediately.
So are you saying to put pressure on these websites to take down porn, or are you
No,
banning
I'm
all the
saying I'll just
websites
take
from
them. Yeah,
US consumers?
no, I'm saying that I will just use the government to walk in with machine guns and say porn is now banned.
All right.
And what's the problem? Do you
So
have a
you're a
single
fascist.
do you have a
Is that what
single
you're
argument? Why is fascism bad? Do you have a single argument for that?
because it violates people's personal
And
autonomy?
why is that bad?
Because we have a biological need for our well-being.
So an appeal to nature fallacy, because you think that we have a biological need for something for X, that means it's moral to do X. For instance, a person may have biological need to have sex. Can they just take sex?
No.
No, they can't, can they? So the thing is like, it's really interesting to me then. I don't actually understand your position at all. I don't know what bad
I think you
even
do. I think you're just being
I
incredibly
don't.
bad
I
faith.
want to know what bad means from your view, because I don't even understand what you're asking me when you say bad. What is bad?
Why would you decide to take the affirmative on this and then refuse to answer any of my
I
questions
literally
in
gave
good
you
faith?
my position.
No, you did. You haven't even
Everything
defined
within my
pornography.
preference is what is moral. I'm going to ban pornography, which is anything I think is pornography.
Okay, and what do you think
Based
is
on my
pornography? That's
preference.
the question I'm asking.
Uh,
What do you think is
You
pornography?
know what? Here, we'll just make it super easy. Anything that shows any nudity publicly is pornography, including breastfeeding, all of it. It's all pornography.
So
It's
you
all
would
banned.
outlaw public breastfeeding as well?
Sure, sure.
Okay.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with it? Can you tell me why
Well,
that's
you're
bad?
impeding on people's personal autonomy.
Yeah, why is
It's
that
a
bad
fucking
though?
baby
But
eating.
why? Why is that bad?
Is that an actual opinion that you hold, or are you
Yes,
just trying to get a
yes,
gotcha?
yes. Why?
You want to ban public
Can you tell me why
breastfeeding?
it's fucking bad, please?
I just did. Wait,
Why?
do you have hearing difficulties?
Yeah, I do. When you say it's bad because it's bad because it's bad, when I say why
I
is that
said
bad?
it's bad because it violates people's personal
Yeah,
autonomy.
but why is that bad?
Again, because that is like a violation of people's well-being.
Yeah, but why would it be bad to violate people's well-being?
Because it results in suffering.
Okay, and why is suffering bad?
Because we don't want to suffer.
Oh, is it bad because it's bad?
Suffering is intrinsically bad, yes.
It's bad because it's bad.
Yes, suffering is
Oh.
intrinsically bad.
So it's bad because it's bad.
And pleasure is intrinsically good.
Okay, well, I say banning porn is intrinsically good. It's good because it's good.
Okay, and you still can't even define what pornography is.
Don't need to. It's good because it's good.
Well, I think you do because you're the one supposing that we ban pornography.
Yeah, I already told you all public displays of nudity, regardless of circumstance, I'm
So what do you mean by
calling
public?
porn. Anytime.
Is Pornhub public?
Out in front of strangers.
Is Pornhub public?
Yeah, I consider that public.
Okay.
So Pornhub goes. Gotta go.
So you understand that this means that the porn industry would just go completely underground into a black market where people are
They can't when I
passing
send
around hard drives.
They can't when I send
And
soldiers in there
in
with
your-
machine guns, can they?
And in your but in your worldview, you said it's public displays of pornography that are not allowed. So privately trading USBs would be fine in your worldview.
No. If you're privately doing it, then that's up to the public, right?
What do you mean?
Yeah. So like if you and I, what do you think a public exchange is? If I go over to a merchant who's in a building and nobody can see, and we make a transaction, you saying that's not a public transaction?
Can you answer my question?
I just did. That would be a public transaction. Exchanges between people, even if they're done behind closed doors, still public transactions. I don't know what you're
But
talking
sending a
about.
nude to your wife isn't public?
No, that's private. Yeah.
Okay, so what if you do it in a public space?
Then
Like how
yeah,
you
that would
just
be against
describe
that. Yeah.
how
if
you just describe the store.
like if you and your wife send each other nudes,
Yeah.
that would be private.
Okay, but privately sending a USB isn't.
Privately sending a USB to who?
Okay, well, let's.
This girl is so dense, she doesn't understand the difference between sending pictures between a husband and a wife and secretly buying corn on a hard drive or a USB stick. Producing the material on the hard drive would still consider meeting in public. It would still consider publicly meeting and gathering. And then selling it to someone else is still a public transaction. Whereas if a husband and wife are just sending pictures back and forth to each other, it's only going to be seen between them. Now, if that husband or that wife decided to then start selling the pictures of their husband or their wife to other people, well then yes, that would be bad. But if it just stays between them, that's perfectly fine. However, going and secretly buying corn from someone, that's still public because it still involves other people. It still involves the public. How does she not understand this?
To who?
Let's ignore the USB. Privately sending it online on a black market. Let's do it that way.
To who?
To anyone. It's
And
private.
that would be porn unless it's to your husband.
Wait, what? I don't think you
If you
understand what I'm
send
saying.
naked pictures to strangers for fucking money, it's porn.
Okay, so the issue is not whether it's public or private, it's if you're married to them or not.
No, that would be if you're doing something which is against the law, in this case, exchanging pornography with strangers, it's still publicly trading something. It's just that you're trying to hide it, but you're still open for business. It's against the law, and you're going to fucking jail. That's how
So
it
if I
works.
privately share a nude to a stranger, is that fine?
If you want a better definition, right? South Korea.
Great, I would love one.
Okay, sure. South Korea has banned pornography, right? So pull up whatever the South Korean definition of porn is, and I'm going to ban whatever that is.
Okay, now can you answer my question?
I just did.
No, you didn't. So if I
Okay.
privately send a nude to a stranger,
Mhm.
is that
Yeah,
fine?
you're going to jail.
This woman thought she was going to go in there and totally school Andrew Wilson. She totally makes assumptions. And she keeps saying it's mass human suffering. Just keep in mind, she's arguing to keep corn around. And Andrew Wilson wanting to ban that's going to lead to mass suffering in her part. She compares taking away corn to Noah's Ark. That's why these people get called coomers and gooners, is because to them, taking away this stuff is doing mass harm. It's harmful. You can't take it away. It's the same way as when you try to take away drugs from a drug addict. If you take away drugs from a drug addict, to them, you are doing them harm. You are causing them pain. And these gooners and coomers, when you talk about banning corn, they talk about it the same way as a drug addict takes away drugs. And then they want to come and argue that corn is actually not harmful. Well, I disagree. Look how you act when we want to take it away. Clearly, this woman, she makes money off of doing this stuff. She makes money from it. So she doesn't want to take her sweet money source. And I don't blame her, by the way. It seems like she doesn't have a very high IQ. Seems like she doesn't have... She said she's not very smart. Seems like she's never had a deep thought in her life. And so, yeah, I totally get why she's arguing the side of keeping it around, because without it, what does she have left? What can she do? That's why it's important to teach your children young to be smart and resourceful, because if you don't, you get girls like this. This is a great debate and highly entertaining debate by Andrew Wilson. By the way, this full debate is like 5 hours long. That's why I'm not doing the whole thing. But if you want to see the whole debate for yourself, it's on Modern Day Debates. Just look up Modern Day Debate in the search bar. You'll find the channel, and then you'll see Andrew Wilson versus at Diddly Ass ASMR. If you like seeing Andrew Wilson own people in debates, I got a whole playlist for you. I'm becoming a huge fan of Andrew Wilson debates. I think he's a great debater. And if you do too, I got a playlist for you to binge on. And if you subscribe to my channel, I release 2 videos a day, and on my channel, I have a whole bunch of other videos of loony lefties getting owned and more.